Welcome, everyone. My name is Leela Rhodes, and I'll be your moderator today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Netcom Learning, a market leader in promoting lifelong learning, training, and talent development solutions. We are very excited to host today's event, the top finance features of Dynamics 365, and presenting today's topic is Brent Dawson. Brent is a Microsoft certified trainer with over 20 years of experience in the technology industry. Brent is also a Microsoft Dynamics architect who specializes in information security architecture, Azure, DevOps, CISSP, SQL Server Administration and Architecture, and Enterprise Architecture. He has delivered comprehensive Microsoft infrastructure and security training, giving his students the tools they need to build, maintain, and secure their Microsoft infrastructure. Please bear in mind that this is an overview of a very robust topic. We offer a collection of technical and business courses that can be tailored toward your specific requirements. If you're interested in a further discussion, you can make an appointment with our learning consultants through our website at www.netcomlearning.com. Today's session is also being recorded, so you will get free access to the recording in the next 24 hours via email. Netcom Learning helps customers build innovative learning organizations by achieving a smarter workforce, adopting change, and driving growth. We do this with a broad catalog of offerings, developing customized learning plans, and our global delivery capabilities. Since 1998, we have been empowering organizations with our managed learning services to help them reach optimal performance results and address challenges. We have 9 practice areas in which we specialize. They encompass people, process, and technology training. Today's presentation is from the business application practice area. Netcom Learning offers a comprehensive training portfolio of courses for today's topic. Our upcoming classes include various trainings on the given courses. You can also access a variety of marketing assets, such as the free training and blogs, by clicking on the available event handout. These offerings can also be found with a simple search on our website at www.netcomlearning.com. In today's session, we will learn about the top finance features of Dynamics 365 and how to use it for business requirements. Now, I'll just give you a quick overview of the logistics before we get started. To start with, you have the option to view in full screen mode by clicking on the full screen button on the right side of the GoToWebinar viewer. Simply hit the Escape key to exit the full screen. Everyone has been muted except for our presenters. Please feel free to submit any questions you have for the presenters here in the questions pane, and we will address them at the end of the session. To get the best out of today's event, we have included the slides, courses we've talked about, and marketing assets in the handout section of your GoToWebinar viewer. You may refer to them to get a better understanding of the topic. Now, we realize some of you may have to leave early and wanted to let you know that as you leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to take a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience and improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding, and 1 representing poor. And now I'll pass the time over to our trainer to present today's topic.
Hello, and thanks for the nice introduction. I hope I'm fully audible and everybody can see me on their screens as well as the presentation.
Yes, you are audible, and we can see your screen too.
And thanks very much for the introduction. And I'd just like to say hello to everybody. Just a brief thing about me. I am Brent Dawson, as was mentioned. I live in London, the United Kingdom. I'm originally from Canada, and I've spent the last few years as a solutions architect and enterprise architect in the Dynamics platform, primarily in the pre-sales roles. And I have been a Microsoft trainer for roughly 26 years and have a broad and deep understanding and from both a technical and a training perspective on how Dynamics 365 works. After the class is done, if you do have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat box, and we will get those questions answered for you at the end of the session. So let's get us off and rolling. So today's session will be dealing with the top finance features in Dynamics 365 and looking at it from the point of view of 6 areas. We're going to take a look at how to elevate your financial performance, as well as a way for us to use the system to manage crucial financial operations, set up and handle general ledger, get smarter with effective budget planning, also to enable custom financial reporting structures, and also to digitize your business using tools such as Power BI. So Dynamics 365 is a fully built ERP system that takes full advantage of all financial management processes that are standard in the industry. It follows the IFRS processes for accounting, which are the world standards for accounting within an organization. And the screen that I'm showing you here is just sort of the main screen that you would see when you're logged into Dynamics 365. This is one of the demo sites called USMF, and it contains a number of different options. Around the finance ones, we're going to be looking at AP, AR, budgeting, reporting, and sort of day-to-day financial operations within an organization. So according to Microsoft, maximizing business ROIs demands more than just a regular plug-and-play solution. Dynamics has made a drastic move in recent years for delivering services through the cloud. When businesses are seeking out the right enterprise solutions, Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is the tool that answers all their questions. So Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations helps manage an organization's financial operations, improves financial performance, and helps to elevate on an investment. When you think about it from the point of view of just standard accounting for an organization, you're generally looking at tools that are just accounting focused. They don't do anything else. The advantage of using Dynamics 365, besides getting all of the standard financial functionality, is also the ability to automatically integrate with other components within the system, such as your supply chain components and your trading components, transportation components, and so forth. The advantage of using a tool like Dynamics 365 is that you have one location that is the master of all of your data for your organization. And so individual people don't have to go and look at various systems and then piece those systems together in an outside tool such as Excel or some other application, where they would then be able to get the final view of how the data actually works. So the whole point of using a tool like this, besides being efficient, is that it helps to reduce your overall costs based on licensing and system costs and so forth, mostly because of the fact that it's in the cloud. If we look at the technologies that we've been using over the last 6 to 7 years, specifically since the advent of Dynamics 365, which used to be in its olden days AX 2012 and previous versions. By going to the cloud, we're doing a couple of things. First of all, we're removing ourselves from having to have an on-premise data center that manages this information. We now are using a cloud-based system where really, as a user, all we're concerned about is the data and who has access to the data. The underlying systems, the software that runs on it, the operating systems that it's running on, the physical hardware or the virtual hardware that it's running on, those are all the responsibility of Microsoft. And they're the ones that are going to be managing it and making sure that it works properly and that it's up to date and so forth. So as a user of this system, you're just worried about how the system is presented to your users, as well as what data the users will be actioning with and who gets to access and interact with those particular pieces of data. Outside of that, the system basically runs itself, and you don't have to worry much from an administrative point of view around that. Also, from a licensing point of view, the systems are now used on a consumption-based process, where we now have the ability to license it based on a per user, on a per month basis. And as we increase users or decrease the number of users, we can then alternate the number of licenses that go with those particular implementations. And again, we're not paying for the life cycle of a license. We're only paying for the use of that license as long as there is a user that needs to use it. So the other option that we were mentioning with the cloud-based performance is that it gives you the ability to access real-time business data anywhere, anytime, and from any device. So if you're working in your office, or you're getting ready to get on a plane and fly someplace for a holiday, or you're lying on the beach already and you have to do an approval of an expense report, those devices will give you clear and automatic access to the data regardless of where you are. So by using cloud components and cloud implementations, you can access invoices, you can do receipt uploads, you can manage expenses, you can do purchase approvals, whatever you want from anywhere in the world. So if you think about where we used to be in previous systems, where we would have physical locations where the tools and the teams needed to be physically present to do stuff, you didn't have the capability of doing things, offline or out of the office. You had to physically be there, or you'd have to load up your laptop, connect with a VPN, open up the application which was on your physical or virtual desktop, and then be able to use the tool that way, much like you were physically at the office. But by using the cloud-based application, we now have the flexibility to work basically from anywhere on the planet, from a geographical location that's as far away as Australia, New Zealand, or vice versa. And it helps you to increase the employees' involvement as well as their efficiency. With the advent of telecommuting and remote work and work from home and modern workplace and all these other fancy catchphrases that a lot of organizations have started using, we now have the ability to send people pretty much anywhere to work, so long as they have an internet connection. And I know several people that spend part of their winters laying in Spain or in Greece or someplace where it's really warm, and they work from there because why not? It's warm, it's nice out. I don't have to freeze to death like most of North America has been over the last little while. And everybody is still as efficient, and in some cases more efficient, because they have a better, more relaxed atmosphere that they can work in. So the better that your employee engagement is, which that means that you're going to have better productivity, you're going to maximize the actual return on investment over the long run. The amount of money that you save will be noticeable for your organization. Plus, also being that the system is much more efficient and can be the center of truth for all of your data, it means that the systems that you need to pay for and license will be reduced, and therefore will overall save you money in your organization. So Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations also is, as I mentioned before, an in-depth financial and accounting package. So it has all of the standard IFRS functionality, all of the standard programs that you would get with other straight finance or budgeting applications, but at a user-friendly or a pocket-friendly price. Depending upon the size of your organization and how you license your organization software, will determine sort of different price ranges that you'll pay. But generally speaking, if you're a large organization and you have an enterprise level agreement with Microsoft, you're going to save a considerable amount on your bill. If you're a small 10 or 12 person organization, you're going to save money too, because the type of implementation that you're going to have will be much smaller, and using cloud-based interfaces will actually save you money over the long run, because you don't have to have that physical presence located in your organization. So really what we're looking at here is a way for an organization, big or small, to be able to implement this tool and make your company more efficient. So if you think about, again, from an organizational point of view, if you're the small 10 or 12 person shop and you don't have an IT team that can support you, generally speaking, there's no maintenance that you need to worry about now. As I mentioned previously, Microsoft takes care of all of it, and you're really just there as a user of the system and worrying about your data. If you are the large enterprise organization that does have people on staff, the job that they have in relation to managing your ERP system doesn't go away because it's cloud-based. It just changes. And so from a utilization point of view of current staff, their focus changes from being more of a day-to-day administration type of role to more of a project management planning deployment type of role for the system going forward. And generally, the system providers will look after all of the maintenance and upgrading of the application and all that sort of things behind the scene, and you're really only worried about the business-specific requirements that the application is going to work with. And so because of the fact that, again, everything is integrated, we have real-time insights that will help us look into the critical financial areas within the organization, as well as help businesses build effective and efficient strategies that bring profitability to the organization while keeping you updated and on time and on budget. Because again, Microsoft manages the system. You don't have to worry about updates and patches and all that sort of stuff. Microsoft does it for you. So when you're using Dynamics 365, an organization can avoid all of the expensive software and hardware management that goes with running an ERP system. Microsoft also allows you to integrate this tool with a lot of other applications as well. And so in modern days, a lot of organizations don't necessarily have a single piece of software that does everything. As an example, if you're a manufacturing company and you have robots in your organization, you're going to have a robotic management system that is going to be needed to work on the shop floor to control how those robots are running the software, running their development to build the products that you're running and that sort of stuff. And so there'll be some sort of centralized management tool that those robotic pieces of equipment are run from. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't interact or integrate with the Microsoft system. So as an example, if we use the company with the robots, we can interact the robotic management system with Dynamics 365 to integrate a shop floor tool called a job card that interacts with the robot management tool, so you can schedule delivery of a product when it needs to be made and how many instances of that product needs to be made, and so on and so on and so on, which also then allows you to control costs. It allows you to control input variables. It allows you to increase your share of profit based on each product, because hopefully as you're going through, the price per product goes down, and your amount that you can make off of each product increases. And so it's designed to do those integrations with other systems. Now, because it's a Microsoft product, it gives you out of the box functionality for things like Microsoft 365, so Office 365, including Outlook, Word, Excel, those sorts of things. SharePoint for document storage, LinkedIn so that you can set up meetings and connections with partners and teams as well, so you can do internal management. And all of those businesses can be streamlined by adding other functionality from the Dynamic family, such as CRM and whatnot. So when you have 365 Finance and Operations, it can automatically retrieve data from things like Outlook emails that give you real-time customer interactions, as an example. So when a customer sends, let's say a vendor sends in an invoice to email, there's a function in the system that will allow you to OCR that email and the attachment, and then automatically import the information about the invoice into the invoice register in the system. And then that way you can, have a head start. So whereas previously you would have to, get a letter in the mail, and then you might have to scan it into PDF, and then you'd have to attach it to something, and so on and so on. Instead of, that taking half an hour, 45 minutes per invoice, we now have the system do it automatically, and it takes a matter of seconds. Right. So that way we've got the AP side of the house working much more efficiently, because they don't have to go and do a bunch of sneaker net and find all these other things that they have to use to match the invoices to the purchase orders or for what was delivered, and say, okay, yes, everything is here. Now we can process this and pay it. And the vendors are happier as well, because they will get their they'll get their payments quicker and more efficiently. And so that will make life a lot better for them as well. So the LinkedIn part is allowing you to contact customers, whether they're for leads or for potential vendors, or even potential employees, because LinkedIn has that capability of displaying and finding pieces of information that you could use for potentially hiring somebody, and it allows you to be much more efficient, as well as helping you to engage your staff with each other, as well as customers and vendors across different paths. There's also a lot of automation that's built in. One of the biggest functional improvements that you get when going with Dynamics 365 is the ability to automate business processes. If you think about sort of your standard day-to-day tasks that you do over and over and over again, this allows you to automate that process, right? So 365 Finance and Operations basically is intended to automate repeated tasks and manual activities that consume a lot of time on a daily basis. And so you can use it to capture data from many other applications, whether they're Microsoft applications or other external applications, to make things easier with yourself. And then this data gets collaborated across all the different channels to ensure users receive up-to-date, accurate data at all times. Now, depending upon how the data is being inputted into the system will determine the method that you're using to get that data in. You might use an API integration that uses a middle layer tool such as BizTalk or something of that nature to translate data from one system to another. You might be using Power Automate as an example, so that when a business task runs in Dynamics 365 F&O, that it then sends off an email to a vendor saying, "Hey, you're going to be getting a purchase order for XYZ. Validate that you've got this in stock before we actually send the PO off to you." So there's a number of different ways that Dynamics 365 has to integrate with products that you provide and can allow for full-fledged functionality. It also allows you to basically make the world your sales force or your sales team, because you can communicate with anybody else in the world, and you can use those tools as a way to interact with those individuals. So not only does it manage your organization's front-end operations, it can also be used to automate all of your contact management, sales forecasting from a finance point of view, information sharing, as well as being able to do optimization of critical business processes that improve the bottom line. And really what this is getting to is that the overall scheme of things is that you want to put into place a system that is going to make life easier for the average user in the workforce, to automate as much as possible, and to then, over time, have that automation make everybody more efficient, and then be able to execute more work in less amount of time. Another thing that's important is customer adoption, right? So Microsoft went into Dynamics 365 and said, we need to make this a system that users are going to want to use. There's nothing worse, and I'm sure most of you have been involved in a project where it's gone live and the end users kind of looked at it and went, yeah, I don't think I want to use this. And so, if they were given an option to do the new system or use a different method or some other system, that they would shy away from the new system just because of the way it works. And so one of the things that Microsoft was very mindful of is, how are users going to work with this, right? How am I going to make it so that the users feel like it's a system that they want to use? And so one of the things that they did is that they went out and they took a look at how users were doing things in terms of tasks and business processes and so forth, and implemented and integrated the best ideas that they had into the system. And so as part of this process, user adoption will be much higher, and therefore it will give you a better return on investment if the users feel like the system is working for them. So the better that the users can be familiarized with the system, the better that they understand how your business processes are executing in the system, the faster that the business can take advantage of all of those different types of things that are in your system to help improve revenue and improve efficiency of staff. And so Microsoft 365 has a higher user engagement ratio because it's designed as a user-specific, easy-to-adopt interface. And because of this fact, Dynamics 365 is available pretty much all over the internet in a myriad of languages, something in around like 40 languages. And again, it gives you the flexibility to work as per the convenience of the user, the comfort of the user, the type of device the user wants to use, and so forth. It also enables staff to access a customer's data while traveling to different locations. And so if you're a salesperson and you need to have a financial list of invoices that they've previously, or purchases that they've previously completed, and that sort of stuff, you can load that data up on the way to the client's location and be able to show them to them instantly as a report or as a list of invoices, or however you want to do it, and so that they can instantly see the information. You don't have to go to the customer site, get the information they're looking for, and then go back to your office, dig it out, and email it to them or send it in the mail or whatever. So basically, what Dynamics 365 does is it gives you the mobility and the customer's mobility to allow for flexibility when dealing with not only employees, but vendors and customers as well. Also, we have the capability to innovate and create a dynamic approach to how your business runs. Okay. Now, as it says on the slide, Microsoft never compromises usability for innovation. Innovation is great, but if the innovation makes the system less user-friendly, then they won't implement it. Or they will work in such a way that they will figure out a good way to implement something that's innovative, but stays within a certain level of structure within the system. And so Microsoft has incremented and implemented other tools that you can embed into the Dynamics platform that are not native to that system. So as an example, they've embedded artificial intelligence tools or machine learning tools that can be used as a way to make the system more efficient. It's also using other business models and business process modelers to deliver seamless customer experiences so that the customers can build their own result-oriented strategies to make the business grow. So we can use artificial intelligence to work with vendors to do work and figure out, okay, who is the best vendor for this particular product that I need to purchase, and then be able to work with that vendor and so forth. So a familiar and user-friendly interface accelerates adoption, onboarding, and engagement. And one of the things that you'll find in the Dynamics platform, whether it's through finance or supply chain or marketing or sales, is they all use the same sort of user structure. And the user adoption, therefore, makes it much easier for people to go from one system to another without having to learn, oh, where's this menu live and where does that button exist and that sort of stuff. And so it standardizes the structure of everything, and it basically makes the business much more successful and able to acquire an increased volume of users, having users actually accept the system, be excited to use it, and use that as a way to encourage your employees to be happy with the system and ultimately happy at work. I've had customers where systems have been deployed and whoever the architect was on that project didn't do a very good job with interacting with the users in the project. And when they ultimately delivered a system, it actually made the life of the people that were using it worse than because of the way that it should have been implemented. And in this particular case, it was made because of one small decision that had a massive impact on how the system was run. And so because of that one small decision and a basic misunderstanding of the architect of what the customer wanted, they actually increased the amount of work that the average user had to do on a daily basis because it made the system less efficient, which ultimately, unfortunately, caused a large number of turnover in the staff because they're like, well, I don't really want to have to work this hard when I go to work. This is what the system is supposed to do for me. So they left and they went and found a position in some other organization that that made their jobs a lot easier. So by making sure that the user adoption and the user system is easy to use, then ultimately it's going to stick around. And there's nothing to say that just because a company deploys a system, if the users don't like it, that they take it out and put something else in place. And of course, Microsoft doesn't want that to happen because they're very mindful and they're very proud of how the system actually runs for the end users. So the last thing under elevating your financial performance is just having much better metrics, right? And one of the things that we'll look at later in this particular presentation is when we're talking about reporting, but understanding how your operation of your database or your system runs on a daily basis is very important. And so the integration that Microsoft Dynamics 365 gives you brings agility as well as flexibility across operations and helps to optimize your business productivity. The other thing from a business point of view is that your data is secure and it's located in a place that nobody else can get to. And of course, data security is crucial to run a business successfully. and Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, as well as tools such as Azure Active Directory and other types of tools in the system, make sure that that data is stored securely and prevents it from going into unsafe areas. When we integrate Azure Active Directory with Dynamics, we can identify users, we can control permissions in terms of who has access to the system and who doesn't, and we can also manage access control. By doing those three things, we improve data security because we have better means of making sure that people are who they say they are, which also therefore means better customer loyalty to Microsoft and to you, increased capabilities within the system, and then elevated ROIs. Okay, and so these cloud-based solutions that a lot of organizations are deploying involve a large cost at the start because you have to go through all this work and there's a project and so forth, and that subscription models are expensive and that they can't afford it over time. But in actual fact, with Dynamics 365 Finance, it offers you cost-effective and pocket-friendly plans, as well as having D365 in place means that you've made the right decision for the business and that you can take your business's ROI to the next level by improving your organization's financial performance, how it actually executes their tasks on a daily basis, and works with all of the other components that exist in the system. So that's sort of the way that the finance system can, or Dynamics 365 in general, can help elevate the financial performance of an organization. And next, we're going to take a look at how to manage crucial financial operations. So the first thing we need to look at is how to understand and know what financial management is. So according to Microsoft, they define the definition of financial management is the strategic practice of establishing, controlling, and monitoring all financial resources to achieve your business goals. This includes many areas of financial functions revolving around profitability, expenses, cash flow, and create credit for financial managers on the accounting, sales ledger, and purchase ledger teams. Okay, so it does a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And it helps to build this important and lucrative financial management business strategy. And to do that, you have to maintain three fundamental principles when you're working in the finance field. First of all, the prediction of future financial performances with the help of financial forecasting, tested functions required to help drive growth, and the preparation of capital investments and capital requirements, right? So knowing where you are from a financial point of view makes knowing where you're going that much more simple. If your organization is running at a loss right now, you're really hesitant to going to want to spend any money until you get your organization back on a financial surface that's much more stable. And using Dynamics 365 Finance can help you with that. Another thing is that it can help you prioritize for long-term initiatives. If you're an organization that has a lot of infrastructure in place and you need to do a lot of capital purchases, the planning that you can do for those long-term initiatives is a little bit easier because you're using tools that have much greater control over your day-to-day financial organization and be able to give you much better information around it. Also, plans are tailored for your business models, whatever marketplace you belong to, and how the organization itself actually functions. And basically, effective financial management planning provides your financial teams the data that they need to support the creation of a business plan that can be followed, providing informed decisions of where to invest and the insights necessary to fund those investments, any liquidity that's going to be required, and of course, the overall profitability of the organization. If you know those things, then you know where the organization can go and how you can plan for future growth within that particular organization. A couple of other things that's important under financial management is that any time that an organization needs to expand or in some cases contract, they're going to need to have very detailed financial information related to the organizations and the organization itself and how it functions. And generally, this is required basically if you need to, acquire investment, whether it's through the stock market or through a private financial firm. That you'll need to be able to go up to them and say, look, this is where my business is, this is how my business functions, this is what my predicted profitability is, and this is how we're going to do this over the next 3 to 5 years. And having those different predictions and prioritizations and plans when you go into that scenario will give you a much greater chance of getting the funding that the organization will need to make that forward growth happen. Now, importance of financial management. I think it stands on its own that if an organization is not financially stable, then it's not going to live very long. And a lot of organizations have a problem with being able to control costs, but also control costs, but also knowing where the money is going on a daily basis. And so those are two vitally important things for an organization to control and to understand on a daily basis. And so as the world expands through different types of globalization plans and so forth, you're going to need to keep your business competitive in a marketplace that helps provide longevity against other organizations that are already at that point. They might be bigger than you, they might have a better name than you, and that sort of thing. And so you need to be able to keep yourself in a high level of knowledge by organizations, so that they'll pick you when they need to do something for their first vendor. And as you ensure that you produce sales long term, your business needs to form all sorts of different financial management structures. Okay, and implementing a system to keep track of all of those streams of revenue is important to the organization. And there's 5 different pieces that are of vital importance to an organization from a financial management point of view. First of all, making sure that you're going to enable future financial planning and acquisition of funds. So as we mentioned in the previous capability, in the previous slide rather, the organization needs to have the capability of being able to prove its financial planning, its financial position when it's going to look for funding from private venture or from a bank or from public funding through, let's say, acquisitions or what have you. Also, you need to provide economic stability. If your organization doesn't have economic stability, it's not really going to go very far. I've worked with organizations before that, back in the tech days, in the late 1990s, early 2000s, when organizations were completely awash with money. They didn't have much control over where that money was going. They didn't have spending controls and those sorts of things. And so people would go out and buy brand new laptops for £3,000 or £4,000, and then or dollars, and they would come back and expense it, and they'd get the expense paid off. But the organization didn't really have any control over that. And so allowing the organization to have economic stability based on how the tool works is a godsend for a lot of organizations. It forces them into a situation where they have to have a structure in place that makes them profitable and knows where all the money is going. Also, it's there to help increase the organization's overall value, including profitability, offer defined data that supports critical financial decisions, as well as optimize your workflow to effectively allocate resources and funds. And so it's important from a business decisions point of view to know what that data is, to have updated data as close to real time as possible, or if not real time, and allow that to help you operate your organization. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can get that information through different types of reports, but ultimately, as long as the data is present in the system, then those reports can be very useful to the management of the organization. Now, there's a number of different options that a company can use to manage its financials, whether it's through an outside consultant that you've hired to manage all of that, Or you might have an in-house financial manager that does nothing but process management and financial planning for your organization. And all of those types of organizational people can use the data in the system to make sound financial decisions. And again, this person or group of people will need to have full access to the company's financial past and present so that they're able to map your future capabilities within the organization. And not only just the data, you may take advantage of other tools such as machine learning or artificial intelligence to do trend analysis of the past to be able to say, well, you know what, we're a manufacturing company and we sell widgets. And, if we look at the wave of how sales have gone over the last few years, we can see that as things have changed because of manufacturing processes or supply chains or what have you, that the company's profitability has increased. And so if we want to increase it even further, we should stay on a specific trend that will help us work at a much greater pace. And so those sorts of tools will also make your life as a financial manager and financial planner that much more efficient. We also need to look at some of the strategic and tactical management capabilities that people within an organization need to make financial operations work properly. So the two types of management procedures, strategic and tactical. And so you might use a hybrid of these tactics or one or the other. Generally speaking, you're probably going to be using a combination of them. And it, depending upon what your ultimate end-term goal is, will determine which type of procedures they're going to focus on more. So you might have some people in the organization who are specifically just doing strategic methodologies, such as the financial leaders, the directors, the president, the vice president, the board members, those sorts of things. And then the tactical being more of the finance managers, the day-to-day operational people, right? So, and from a financial leaders and directors point of view, and as you collect the data for that financial planning and analysis, and then also building out the organizational goals, all of those financial directors and higher will use this to help plan for future investment, as well as future growth opportunities, as well as to help build resilience within the company. A lot of organizations found out during COVID that supply chains are very tenuous. And so, having a resilient supply chain for their organization or even within their organization is very important. And so, you need to be able to do those sorts of high level planning and building of the organization with the data that's in that system. For those that are on the day-to-day sort of processes, so things like monitoring daily transactions or looking at daily cash flow or monthly financial closes and those sorts of things, or fixed asset depreciation costs, that's the relation to the actual spending that the organization does. So this is more along the lines of, how much money did I make today? How much money did I spend today? They'll also be the type of person that will track the full range of transactions to make sure that you're in compliance from a transaction management point of view as well, so that the organization is following what the business processes and the business practices of that particular company is. So how do I decide on a good financial management tool? Well, I'm working under the assumption that one of the reasons that you're here is that you want to understand why Microsoft and myself, for that matter, think that Dynamics 365 Finance is a good financial management tool. And so when we're designing and we're building out our organization and deciding what the right financial tool is, you'll need a tool that's able to streamline payment methods, streamline collections, and ensure compliance with tax and accounting regulations. Again, making sure that you're following IFRS international accounting processes. You'll also want the software to be able to simultaneously eliminate errors, manual labor, duplication of labor, and possible redundancies. Some additional features of a good financial system include some of the following that are listed here. Things such as transparency for all different types of payments, whether they're sent payments or received payments, being able to identify individual transactions in the system. Be allowed to coordinate income statements, expense statements, and balance sheets into one visible report. Balancing accounts, making it easy to locate those accounts and work with them, making sure that you have data that has integrity and security so that you can validate that somebody's not going in and playing around with things. You can keep track of the liabilities as well as any update records that you might have around that, as well as how to maintain and complete audit trails for auditors, whether that's a public audit or a corporate audit or whatever it happens to be. And so by having all of this budgetary data available, you're able to make sound decisions that positively impact your business. A financial management system that can provide transparency and flexibility that will accommodate changes will help to make sure that you have long-term sustainability as an organization and within the market, so that you can make sure that you're going to be around for a very long time. Lastly, in this section, we're going to take a look at some of the processes that we need to look at when we're going to be managing some of our financial data. And again, according to Microsoft, Dynamics 365 helps to integrate the key components with minimal disruption, ensuring real-time, high-level visibility into your organization's financial state. And that right there, that sentence is what is the most important thing for using Dynamics 365 Finance, is making sure that you have visibility into your day-to-day operations so that you have real-time information that's up to date and valid, so that you know exactly where the organization is sitting and what type of foothold it is on from a financial point of view. All your decisions that your organization makes are going to be based on that financial footing, and therefore you need to have a good understanding and full visibility into all of the spending and costs by integrating a predictive and proactive financial management tool. And Dynamics 365 Finance is just that sort of tool. It adds all the financial management capabilities that you'll need to process your business and to eliminate human error and tedious work processes while boosting productivity. Let's take a short break for 5 minutes or so. And after that, we're going to come back and take a look at the remaining topics.
Sure, let's go ahead and take that 5-minute break. But before we do that, we are going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot of informative webinars coming up. Please go to www.netcomlearning.com/webinars/ to register for those.
So welcome back, everybody. Let's continue with the topic on Dynamics 365 Finance. You'll see in the slide here that we're going to look at the core components of Dynamics 365. It is a large application. It's made up of a lot of different pieces. And this basically is the ecosystem that will support your modern finance deployment in your organization. And so this slide outlines the key business functions from the previous organizational description and discussion, and it has some of the Dynamics 365 product components that are included in here. And so at the very top, we can see the channels and the stakeholders who are using them. And generally speaking, we've got customers, employees, different financial agencies, whether they're banks or loan companies or what have you, as well as vendors. And there's three primary functions in the modern finance system: accounts receivable, accounts payable, and financial management, whether this is reporting at the CFO level, business management level, and so forth. And so here you can see the different activities that are executed across all of the different modules or different areas within the system. So account management sort of falls under all three layers: company interoperability and consolidations, budgeting, financial period closes, analytics and reporting, expense management, and so forth. Falls under all three layers of an organization. Fixed assets generally falls under accounts payable and the financial management side of things. As well, under financial management, we're looking at primarily credit and collections. Under accounts receivable, rather, we're looking at credit and collections, revenue recognition, credit management, as well as artificial intelligence for finance. Some of the tasks that kind of fall between AR and AP include invoicing, payments and terms, and e-invoicing, as well as policies and brokerage, which are pretty much an accounts payable process. And then items that are specifically under financial management, including the management of chart of accounts, the ledger, alert services, tax management, journal management, regulatory and compliance management, cash management, bank reconciliation, cash flow forecasting. So those are all of the different modules and components that actually make up the Dynamics 365 Finance tool. And so as you can see here, that it fulfills all of the requirements of a modern finance implementation for an organization. And some of the key points in this, of course, is that it provides all the key tools and services that are needed to transform the business functions and processes, including automation of certain business tasks. And it helps to meet the goals of the business requirements that you're going to be needing to help bring your organization into a modern foothold. From a why it matters point of view, Dynamics 365 Finance empowers businesses with the modern finance functions, integration with first and third-party solutions, and helps to make technology unification possible for administrative functions. So this chart here shows you, from a general ledger point of view, some of the financial management processes that an organization will work on. So the general ledger being sort of the central controller of how the organization functions from a financial management process. We have all sorts of different capabilities and tools that will help us point to and get data into and out of the general ledger. So Dynamics 365 Finance offers tools and features with built-in intelligent controls, such as charts and KPIs, as well as workspaces, to give insights of a company's cash flow, project supply and demand, and an organization's demographics that will help customers to cost the goods in order to negotiate agreements and better prices with their vendors, as also with their customers, so that they can make the organization that much more profitable. With the accounts payable and accounts receivable modules, this gives the company all of the functions needed to manage your day-to-day tasks and processes to spend and receive money for day-to-day functions that you do in your organization, whether you're buying something, you're selling something to a customer, whatever it is. But it's the day-to-day management of those financial transactions that make the company money ultimately. With the sales and marketing module, as well as with the inventory management modules, the procurement and sourcing modules, and cost management modules, we have ways of making sure that all the financial leaders in the organization make proper decisions based on business rules and maximizing the overall wealth that the organization will maintain from a day-to-day execution, whether it's a purchasing or selling or whatever it's happening to do. It also allows you to do cost controls through things like project management, budgeting, production controls, and cash and management for the bank, so that you can see where everything is. You know what your sort of cash on hand is on a daily basis, but also knowing if I produce these many items at this particular cost, I'm going to make this much profit, that sort of thing. And so, knowing all of those sorts of things makes the overall financial structure of the organization that much more sound. And from a budgeting point of view, it gives you the capability of being able to properly estimate what financial requirements are going to be for an organization. Also to allow you to determine whether or not I need to acquire some capital or if I need to make some capital purchases. How much of a budget will I have to actually make those capital purchases and be efficient? So here's an example of a typical ledger where we would have at the top the general ledger. We would have the different processes that we've been doing for things like closing transactions, do reevaluations of currency if we're working in multiple currencies, making sure that we have different types of reporting, allocating costs and income to the appropriate accounts, do fiscal closes and that sort of thing, do main ledger account transactions and converting to electronic documents, all sorts of different type of general ledger processes that we have. So we have things like accruals, so we can do all of our accrual accounting to track revenue. We can also do things such as allocate and distribute monetary amounts to one or more accounts based on whether it's an income account or a debit account, as well as how I'm going to actually make sure that everything balances, making sure my tax is in the right place, all that sort of stuff. And so it's simple to be able to do ledger settlements and account transaction settlements between different types of ledger accounts and currency reevaluations, because those are all built-in functionalities that are native to the system. So in my fiscal calendar setup, I have a fiscal year, which is part of a calendar process. It's divided into a number of periods. And before we can post transactions, a new fiscal year must be divided into periods. And these can be shared across multiple legal entities. And it does allow for simplicity of being able to set up the configuration. But the fiscal year could be of any length. It can have any number of periods. And again, it can be shared across multiple legal entities. Okay. Next, we have measurements. Okay. And measurements are a way for us to determine what the values are in terms of the length of time. So the measurements could be in years, it could be in months, it could be in days. It depends on what we want to set it up. So as an example, a fiscal year generally is one calendar year. It a lot of times in a lot of organizations will be based on the calendar year, so January 1st to December 31st, or it might be some other type of year whenever you started your business. You also have month, many periods generally are going to be in months, and then, certain days when you're doing some types of tasks. We also have statuses, which generally have the transactions on open, on hold, or closed. If it's an open status for a fiscal calendar, that means the transactions can be posted to the period as long as the module access level is set to all. If it's on hold, transactions cannot be posted to the period, but you can go back and make changes to that previous period if those need to be made, but only a very certain number of individuals are allowed to go and make those changes. And closed means that there'll be no transactions posted to the period. It cannot be reopened. Things can't be changed. You'll have to do journal entries in a future period to modify those closed period situations. So as an example, when you do your fiscal year end and you publish your fiscal year end, you realize you made a boo-boo in some sort of budget, you can't actually reopen your fiscal year end and make the modification. That just wouldn't be allowed by standard accounting practices. And so you would have to make adjustments for it in the following calendar year. We also have module level access. Again, this is allowed for all, none, or a specific user group. If we say all, then that means anybody in the system that has access rights can work in it. If we say none, that means nobody. If we say user group, then again, only specific individuals will be able to go in and work in those particular areas. And then lastly, period types. We have opening periods, we have operating periods, and we have closing periods. Every year we'll have all three, right? We'll have that opening period, which is recording of opening balances from the previous year, previous period. The operating period is when we're doing our regular accounting transactions and day-to-day operations. And then the closing period is used to record the general ledger transactions for closing a fiscal period within an organization. So if we're looking at the general ledger components, here's an example of a fiscal calendar being created in the general ledger. And again, the fiscal calendars provide the framework for all the financial activity. And then each fiscal calendar will contain all of the different fiscal years. It could be one or more fiscal years. And these will each contain multiple periods. And then these are generally going to be January 1 to December 31st calendar years, or again, whatever date that you decide based on whatever your organization's date is. So, it could be May 1st to, March 30th kind of thing. It just depends on what the structure of your organization is. And the fiscal year in Dynamics Finance can be set to any length. It can be divided into a number of different periods of whatever structure you wish, and it can also be shared across multiple legal entities. From there, once you've created your fiscal calendars, you'll need to then create ledger calendars. In this particular case, we're looking at the different legal entities of the organization. And we see that the fiscal year in this case starts on the 1st of January 2019, and it ends on December 31st of 2019. And it's an operating type of period, meaning that I'm going to be doing my day-to-day transactions in here. And so here we can list the fiscal calendars as well as the fiscal years. You can post all of the different statuses for the periods. You can select to start a new period and all of that grouping information, and as well as specifying the individual organizations that you're going to be working with. You'll also notice here that it lets you show the different types of legal entities, whether it's a ledger transaction, a sales tax transaction, a banking or customer transaction as well. We also have the ability to set up and handle within the general ledger date intervals. And so you'll notice on the left-hand side that we've got a number of different intervals. So we've got things such as current year to date, next period, next year, previous period, and so forth, as well as how we've broken out the quarterly period. And so in this example, if we look at the quarterly periods, from January 1st until March 31st, we have the first quarter, right? It's part of the fiscal year. It's the start and end dates that are within that period. It's based on the month and the quarter, and it has a start and end date. And, the date calculations would be located in terms of the calculation date, starting point, and after adjustments and the dates of those sorts of things. And so when you create the new fiscal year, the system creates an opening period with the type of opening, a number of periods for that particular setting. So in this case, monthly as an example, and a closing period with the type of closing. And so from this location, you can't actually control the fiscal calendar form. This is all done based on the information that you supplied for the legal entities in the previous screens and in the previous menu items, and sort of when you set your start and end dates for the calendar year and so forth. Now, we've looked at financing. We've looked at sort of the general rules of finance, and we've looked at some of the capabilities of the general ledger. Next, we're going to look at budget planning. And this, of course, is a really big thing for organizations, because budget planning is what will make or break an organization. If you work for a public entity, as an example, who gets all of their money from taxes, then you need to make sure that you have a budget that you can submit and fulfill. If you're an organization, though, that is a private company and you need to, expand and do all those sorts of things, then having a tight control of your budget might be important for things like stock price or saleability and so forth. And so you need to have both long-term strategic planning and annual budget planning so that you can make your organization work efficiently. Okay, so if you think about it, in previous days, most organizations probably did most of their budget planning in Excel, and then they used Excel to kind of control the different budgets for different operating units or departments or whatever as part of their day-to-day operations. Well, now with Dynamics 365 Finance, we have a budget module where we can actually do all of that in the same system. So the budget gets imported into the system. We know what the start budget value is. We know all of the expenses against that budget. We can also know all the revenue against that budget, and we can have a closing year-end budget value as well. So if you're an organization that has a project that's going to be building a new building, you're going to be giving that a project, a budget, as well as different budget plans and the control framework and that sort of stuff, so that as you are going through the project building the building, you're staying within that fiscal restraint that you've given yourself to build it. You're going to say, okay, well, I'm only going to be spending, £1 million on, the outside of the building. And so I've set up a budget control framework that prevents me from spending more than what that's been budgeted for. If for whatever reason I have to go over that budget amount, I have to go get approval for the budget expansion, and then I can get the money added to my budget and so forth. And so in here, you're going to have the ledger budgets. You're going to have control over those budgets. You're going to have the ability to forecast against those budgets, as well as to be able to plan against those budgets. And that information being held in the same system as where your other financial information is vitally important to being an efficient organization. So some of the areas that the budget functionalities give us include the capability of having a high-level overview of the budget. It gives us the capability of overviews of the controls of the budget, as well as the budget planning process. We can also take a look at where our position forecasting is within the organization in terms of, are we within the budget? Are we close to budget values? Have we underspent, overspent, what have you? Allows us to enter in planning justification documents for our budgets, as well as do budget planning templates. A lot of organizations will still do the budget plan part in Excel, because a lot of organizations could have very complex and detailed budgeting that they need to do, and is only done efficiently in tools like Excel. But once they've completed it, you can use that budget that you've created in Excel and upload it into the system, and that becomes now your budget for that particular fiscal year. So as an example, let's say that you're an airport and you have a number of different things that will help to determine revenue, things like airport improvement fees, landing fees by aircraft, passenger fees, government funding, and so forth. And those all need to be brought into the budget at different values, so you can come up with a revenue number that you can put into the system to say, this is my revenue goal for this year. You also have to do the same sorts of things for things like, airport expansion and runway maintenance and building maintenance and so on and so on and so on. And so you need to make sure that all of that information is properly managed and put into the system before you can, have a proper budget into your organization. So the budgeting tools that are available in finance include the ledger budgets, the project budgets, the workforce budgets, the fixed assets budgets, the demand forecasting, and cost accounting and inventory budgets. And all of these are different types of budgeting components that exist within the system. So under workforce budgets, we're looking at the cost of budgeting for compensation and planning for positions and knowing how many people I can keep on my payroll, that sort of thing. Fixed asset budgets include fixed asset information, so things like planned depreciations for costs of items that you purchased, other types of transactions, whether or not you have to sell something to get rid of it because it's past its lifespan, that sort of thing. Project budgets, of course, you need to have a budget when you're executing a project. And so this is going to help you with forecasting things about planned hours, expenses, fees, items, cost of materials, that sort of thing, for the type of budget or for the type of project you're executing. Demand forecasting allows us to have historical transactional information, so we can try and estimate future inventory demands, inventory requirements, demand forecasting for that sort of thing as well. Microsoft Finance has two types of forecasting. So there's standard demand forecasting that we can use, and there's something called demand-driven forecasting, which is a separate type of demand customization that has been added to the system for forecasting for things like manufactured items that I want to sell to customers and so forth. Some of the other tools include budget planning processes for processing and determine the different types of plans and how they can be updated and how they can be reviewed. The budget plans themselves, so making sure that you have a budget plan for different organizational units or purchasing units and that sort of thing. The budget plan scenarios, so that you can do examples. So what happens if I remove my full-time equivalent count and reduce them to part-time equivalents, or those sorts of things, and be able to do what-if scenarios within the different groups. And then lastly, there's the capability of doing budget planning stages, where you work your way through the budget plan through workflows, and then ultimately the budget would get approved by management and deployed into the budget management tool. And those workflows would then consist of the budget planning stages. So these are all automatic processes, as well as automated manual processes that help to move the budgets through their budget planning stages. Some of them are done manually, such as the creation of the Excel spreadsheet. Some of them are done automatically, where you enter the values, it goes through the process and gets approval through a management process. This slide might be a bit hard to see, but basically what it is that it's showing you all of the different components that can work with your budget plan, and it contains all the information that can help the budget planning, as well as set up the budget planning processes. So here we have sort of four areas that we're primarily looking at. We're looking at the document management of the budget planning process, the budget cycle, the entries of all of the information into the budget, the plans and processes for managing the budget. Then we also have plan configurations, and then organizational structures, as well as the different types of budgets. So all of that information combined is what is going to be used to produce the actual budget plan that you're going to have for your organization. And from this, you can see why, in some cases, it's more efficient to do things in Excel and then import them in than it is to do them within the actual tool itself. So some of the typical tasks that you're going to have in terms of budget planning, you can use the budget planning to perform the plans that you're going to use in terms of expected revenue and expenditures, analysis and updated budget plans for multiple scenarios. You can automatically route the budget plans together with things like worksheets, justification documents through workflow, so you can get those approved. You can also consolidate the different budget plans from lower levels of an organization into a single budget plan. So let's say that you have departmental budgets, and within each of those departments, you might have business units. So you might have a production unit, you might have a development unit, you might have an R&D unit, and they have their budgets, and then you can consolidate those into the departmental budget. And then that way you can use that single budget at the higher level to allocate to those sub-budget levels as well. And under budget planning, we're looking at things like, the security of the budget plan, the organizational hierarchy of the budget plan, the different scenarios, the way that we can create and activate the budgets, the allocations of the budgets, and again, being able to use external tools like Excel to help create those budgets as well. Next, we want to take a quick look at some of the financial reporting capabilities that exist in the system. Under financial reporting, we have two different sections that can help us. The first is the Dimensions tab, and this is generally going to be used to show us the different dimensions that exist in the system and the account structures. And this way we can set up how we want financial dimensions to appear in the system. And so financial dimensions allows us to break the account structure into smaller components. And the attributes tab under the financial reporting section allows us to select whether we want to use vendors or customers as an attribute for filtering and reporting the design. So the financial reporting tool will give us the structured layout of the information that's going to be provided for us. The report designer is one of the tools that will be used, and this is the report wizard that basically allows us to walk through for less experienced users to design the actual report itself and make it easy to meet whatever the requirements are for the amount of information that needs to be displayed, as well as the report schedules. And so this is the schedule that will execute against a single report and making sure that it's going to function properly. The next thing is creating the report through the designer. It gives us flexibility and provides some of the different options that you'll need, such as dimensions that you'll require, control and how dimensions are formatted and displayed, how columns are displayed, what format headers are, if you have rolling forecasts, how do those get displayed in the system, and so forth, as well as identifying the different types of accounts or dimensions that you'll need for the report. You'll also have the capability of doing financial report collaboration, which means that you can schedule the reports to get generated, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, annually, however. You can then have them exported to an XPS format, which is the Microsoft format. You can also have it exported to an Excel worksheet, or you also have the ability to share them to things like SharePoint so that you can actually have those reports display on the SharePoint environment. And then lastly, allows for interactive report viewing. So things like changing the report dates, scrolling into, drilling into a report, drilling out of a report, setting up dimension filters for the type of content that's displayed, as well as attribute filters so that you know which attributes are being displayed and so forth. So there's a number of different components and features that allow you to structure how you want your financial reporting to be displayed. And lastly, we're going to take a quick look at some of the features that make finance much more useful through Power BI. So Power BI has there are four different sort of reporting capabilities that are available in the system dynamics. We've got chart controls, which are standard charts, SSRS operational reporting documents, management reporter financial statements, and Power BI, which is the tool that we're going to be using for data exploration. And this is the tool that we're going to use to find trends and predict the future and use as the sort of the reports that we'll give to senior management as a way for them to see the structure of the organization. One of the things, of course, is that once we create those reports, we will have the ability to create analytical workspaces. Those analytical workspaces in the system allow us to pin different types of Power BI reports to the system, and allows us as an individual, when we log into when we log into Dynamics, we can look at through our workspace immediately up-to-date numbers that can be refreshed as needed, but will have updated information about things, in this particular case, headcount and attrition and that sort of stuff. But it's just a way for us to be able to take those visualizations, these infographics, and put them directly into Dynamics for us to be able to see and use them on a daily basis. So the advantages of using Power BI embedded directly into the workspaces is that it makes everything readily available to the user. And so if you've ever done anything like Power Query in Excel or any of that sort of stuff, Power BI content works much the same. And so it can be directly imported into the workspace, and the user doesn't have to go anywhere else to find that information. The Power BI embedded service license is bundled with the application. So because you have Dynamics and you have lifecycle services and stuff, there's no extra licensing costs that you'll need to have that embedded report into the system. Some of the other advantages that you'll have include the ability to drill down through the pages in the Power BI, so you can take a look at the different visuals from a filtered point of view. You can look at trends. You can look at data that requires different information, that sort of thing. As well as there's help, so that you can access Power BI reports using different menu items, as well as graphical displays on the screen. And then lastly, you can filter reports based on a particular context, whether it's through user's action or filtering through Power BI. Again, you can also drill through the links in the system, and then have the ability to go directly to transactional details that exist within the different pages. So that's the information on the slide content, and in terms of the Power BI reporting, general ledger components that make up the finance tool in Dynamics. And there's much more information that's available for that for different types of learning courses. So I'd just like to take a couple of minutes to take a look at some of the learning that's available through hands-on learning capabilities that you have through the system. And Netcom gives you the capability of attending lab-oriented, instructor-led, hands-on lab-based classes. And so let's first take a look at some of the advantages of certification. First of all, if you get certified, it's nice because people can know that you have actually gone through the process of learning the tool, of understanding how the tool works, and being able to pass questions as required to show that you have a knowledge level that will make you trustworthy in terms of being able to utilize the system. Generally, people who are certified tend to earn more money, and they tend to be able to advance themselves in their organization because they have these tools that they now have to be able to say that they can do a specific type of job. There are also different employer verification tools that are available, and badges that are issued by Microsoft. If you don't pass the exam and you don't get the certification, you can't just make up a badge to say, "Oh, hey, I'm Dynamics 365 Finance certified," and it's just a way for you to be able to be verified that you are what you say you are, you're certified in it, and that you have knowledge that other users don't have. So the data itself is quite usefully interesting. There's a handout that's available that's in your download link, and it's called the win-win of certification: how employees and businesses thrive through continuous learning. And it goes through and talks about how training can improve the way that the business works, and the different timeliness of how problems can be solved by having those individuals on site trained in the tool. You can use it as a way to help increase your personal and career benefits. Direct relationships can be shown between continuous learning and higher pay. And of course, most people want to get paid more. And also how certification helps to improve productivity, efficiency, and job satisfaction. And as it says there, a well-trained and certified team is almost 20% more productive than other staff. When people have the ability and the tools on board in their knowledge base to be able to solve a problem, then it makes life a lot easier for the user, but also for the organization as well. So some of the courses that are recommended is the MB920 class. This is sort of the fundamental class that gives you some basic background and understanding of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. And you can see the outline there that it talks about the core capabilities, the finance, supply chain management, commerce, and project operations sections of the course. As a note, the human resources section will actually be being rolled into finance and operations in the future, so that will actually change slightly. And the exam for MB300 and MB310, 300 is the foundations and the core functions of Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, and MB310 is the finance-specific functions in the system. So as you can see, it looks at things like validation of data, setup, budgeting, fixed assets, managing accounts payable and accounts receivable, and so on. And so with the Dynamics 365 role-based instructors led classroom training. So as an example, if you sign up for CAS and I'm the instructor, there'll be interactive discussions between myself and the students. I have a lot of real world experience, as do many of the other instructors that teach for Netcom, and we'll be able to not only give you the information that's in the user's guide and in the student manual, but also we'll be able to give you a lot of experience that we've worked with in the real world. But you also get hands-on labs to give you real-world practice and different use cases, so you can see how the system works. Once the course is completed, you get 180-day access to those virtual machines for practicing and mastering the skills that you've talked about in the course. Also, it gives you the ability to go and play around. If you don't have a sandbox at work, you can use that as a way to kind of try different things. You'll also be given 365-day access to the recordings of the instructor-led classes as well. That, of course, assuming that the instructor, me being the one, because I'm guilty for this all the time, remembers to turn it on. And after that, it does give you full access to the Netcom 365, as well as opportunities to do free repeats as required, and experience of 24/7 priority support. So if you do have problems, you can contact Netcom and get some support from them. Lastly, some facts about the certification renewals. Microsoft has started in the last couple of years to make renewals of your certifications on a yearly basis. Once you pass the original exam, the renewal exams are completed once a month prior to your expiration date on your certification. They are online. They are free. You can take it as many times as you need to until you pass it, so long as you pass it before your expiration date. If you don't pass before your expiration date, then you'll have to take the full exam over again to get your certification updated. You are notified 6 months prior to your certification expiring, so you should have plenty of time to update them. As an example, I have probably 12 active certifications right now, and I have 3 due on exactly the same day. So I do have to do some planning to make sure that I actually get my certifications all updated prior to them expiring. And that's one of the downsides of having a lot of certifications, is that you have to worry about doing the renewals all the time. And you're constantly sort of in that upgrading stance. But the good thing about that is that you're always up to date, and you're going to be covering the newest materials, and you're going to get questions on the newest types of features and tools that exist in each of the systems. So that takes us to the end of the sessions for today. I hope you found today's session informative and valuable. It's just sort of the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more information that you'll get when you take the instructor-led courses. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them into the chat window, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Brent. That was very informative. I know everyone is looking forward to the question and answer session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, I would like to give the presentation rights to Sognik, our vendor manager, to introduce our promotions and webinar related courses.
Thank you, and I hope everyone had a wonderful session today on top finance features and Dynamics 365. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us. And I'm super excited to announce that all the participants in today's masterclass have been given exclusive free access to MB310, which is the Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance courseware. The best part is you also get to claim your digital achievement badges on Microsoft Learn to celebrate your Dynamics 365 skilling journey issued by Microsoft. These badges can help you highlight your newly acquired skills and boost your career potential. Let's take a quick look at the steps that you need to follow. There you can find the link to this landing page as part of your events handout, or you can also find it on your GoToWebinar portal. So I'll just wait for 5 or 10 seconds so that everyone finds the link on their chat box and they can come on this page. Wonderful. I think most of you are here already. So let's take a quick look on what are the steps involved. So on this page, as you can see at the very top, you can see the name of the masterclass that you participated in today. And at the very next section, you'd see this section stating Start Your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Skilling Journey for free. As part of it, since today's session was focused on the finance aspects of Dynamics 365, MB310 is the courseware, as promised, that has been given access to you. And not only that, you'd also get your achievement trophies and badges, which will come with validation from Microsoft. So these are great things to leverage. And this is the simple way you can redeem your courseware and badges. So all you need to do is basically click on this button. You can start the redemption process right away. If you're already familiar with the Microsoft Learn platform, if you're not, no worries, we have gotten you covered. Over here, you can see if you just scroll down a little bit further, there are 3 steps that you need to follow to complete the redemption of your courseware. So the step 1 is simply to make sure you sign into your Microsoft Learn account using your personal or professional Outlook or Hotmail account. If you are already signed in, you will be directly saying on the step 2, right, which is the redeem your code stage. So in case you're not already signed in, you click on this get started button, or you click on this redeem your MB310 courseware button. You'd be asked to sign in on the Microsoft Learn portal, so which would look similar to this. So on this window, you can see you have to enter your credential over here, which can be your personal or corporate Outlook or Microsoft account. If you don't have a Microsoft account, no worries, you can simply create one in a few minutes by using the create one option. If you can see over here highlighted in red, no account, create one. You need to click on that link, follow the instructions, and within 1 or 2 minutes, you'd be having your Microsoft account ready to be used. Now, in case you already have an account and you don't have to create one, all you need to do is just select the credentials over here, put in the credentials and click on next. And then you'd be asked for the password, sign in. And once you have completed the sign in process, either from your existing account or from your new account, you'd be seeing this step, right, which asks you to redeem your code. Now, this step is completely automated. You don't need to fill in any code. This code is going to be auto-populated once you land on this step. So now all you need to do at this point is just click on the redeem option that is highlighted in red over here. And as you have selected that, you have to wait for a few seconds. It will process, and then you'd see this prompt on your screen that you have added your achievements to your profile. Now, at this point, this means that the courseware has been redeemed, and not only that, all your digital badges and trophies from Microsoft has been added to your Microsoft Learn profile as well. And it's a great option. You can now start clicking on those, selecting the different modules that would be available, and you can start accessing your courseware right from there. Be proud of your achievement and celebrate it by sharing your digital trophies on your LinkedIn profile. But don't forget to tag Netcom Learning and Microsoft on your posts for maximum visibility and reach. Now, moving forward, let's quickly take a look at the handout that we have prepared for all of you. So this is how your handout is going to be looking. We're going to quickly cover. So on basically the second page of your handout, you'd find the content section where everything is hyperlinked. So these are the different topics that are covered as part of this document. You have the link to the session recording, the training recommended courses, and some of the offers and promotions that we have in place. But first and foremost, you'd have some more information about us, Netcom Learning. As you must already know, Netcom Learning is the top Microsoft Learning partner 2 years in a row. We have gotten this recognition from Microsoft, the latest title being 2023 Microsoft US Learning Partner of the Year. And we are also a Microsoft Cloud Solutions partner. So that is the highest tier designation for any training provider. That means that we are eligible to provide authorized Microsoft training at the highest level across all the 6 Microsoft solution areas. Today's topic was covered on one of those solution areas, but we have equal competency across all the six. About Netcom Learning, we are the number one training partner for Microsoft, having serviced over 80% of the Fortune 1000 companies. Have a significant presence for the US military space, having served 100 plus military bases. Overall, we have supported 36,000 plus unique enterprise customers, having successfully trained over a million professionals, and we enjoy a 96% recommendation rating from our customer base. All our courses are delivered by our extensive portfolio of 3,200 plus certified top rated Microsoft instructors. And we have also won the top 20 IT training company award, as you can see here. As you know, our capabilities expand way beyond Microsoft as well. In fact, we are the go-to one-stop training provider for all your corporate training needs across all the industry leaders. So Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, PMI, EC Council, Adobe, Autodesk, you name it. We have authorized training partner status with all these major vendors that allows us to support you in your end-to-end skilling requirements, whatever be the need. As promised, and part of this handout, you'd be getting the link to today's session recording, which you can access from here. And then on this slide, you can see again the link that we covered at the beginning. So you can access your free Microsoft official courseware and badges using the links from here. Um, Also, for all the participants today, we have given free access to our Netcom 365 learner portal. It's an extensive, resource-rich hub, basically, to manage your end-to-end learning journey across vendors. So all you need to do is just activate your account using the links over here, and you'd be getting access to all your course materials, your different latest courses, assessments, master classes, and all other aspects related to your skilling journey. So we highly recommend you go ahead and activate your Netcom 365 portal today. Now let's quickly take a look at some of the latest offers that we have on Microsoft trainings and certifications. First up, we have the Microsoft Quick Start program. This is one of the most popular programs that we have, specifically designed for enterprise customers. So as you can see over here, it allows you to enjoy best-in-class exclusive enterprise discounts on your Microsoft training. So basically, there are two options depending on the number of learners you want to train. This is a team training package. So that means if you are enrolling more than 14, that is 15 or more learners, you'd be getting a flat enterprise pricing of $300 per day per learner. Starting. So if it is a 3-day course, you are only going to pay $900 for that learner against a standard retail price of say about $2,500 or $3,000 for that particular course. And if you have a smaller team or smaller requirement, say 14 or less learners, you still can enjoy a flat pricing of $400 per learner per day. So we highly recommend everyone to check this out. If you are a decision maker, if you are a team lead, if you are a manager, you are planning to upskill your employees, this is a wonderful solution to take care of your Microsoft skilling needs. And we would like to also highlight that what differentiates us within the training industry is our specific subject matter expertise across a wide array of industry verticals. So right from banking and financial services, healthcare, as we already covered, our significant expertise in the federal government and the state and local government verticals, education sector, energy, manufacturing, retail, consumer goods, telecommunications, transportations, you name it, we would be able to support your end-to-end skilling requirements. Also, to highlight that we have an exclusive Microsoft Value of Certification offer currently running. It is valid till 30th of September, and we are already in September, as you know. So this is the right time for you to take that leap and get yourself Microsoft certified. Now, there are two angles that we would like to highlight and to convey the value of getting certified. So if you're a decision maker and you have employees that you are engaging in training, or you want to gauge the whether your team has the right skills required to deliver on the job, certification is your go-to tool to assess that, right? Because Microsoft certifications are highly standardized exams designed and conducted by Microsoft. So based on the role, you can ask your team members to take the certification exam, and if they are able to qualify, that gives you the assurance right from Microsoft that your employees' skills are validated, they have the required acumen on the topics and the concepts to perform the right way on your workloads and projects. And if you are an individual, there is even bigger benefit, because once you get certified, that credential adds massive credibility to your career potential. So it is basically a validation, a seal of approval right from Microsoft that you know what you're supposed to know when it comes to that technology, right? So currently we have this offer under which you get a 10% discount on all Microsoft certification exam vouchers across fundamentals as well as role-based certifications. So we highly recommend, if you're planning to get certified, right now is the right time to do that. Another offer, a unique option that we see quite popular within our customer base, is if you have a team, if you are a decision maker, once again, and you want to assess whether trainings and skilling is the right option for you, what's the value in it, right? You might want to validate or get a realistic understanding of what's the ROI in it, right? Of investing your training dollars. Our 2-hour private group training demo is the right solution for you, because it allows you to, if you have a team of maybe 10 or more learners, we would request you can use the link provided over here to raise a training demo request, and as part of it you get multiple privileges. So one of the major benefits is it is customizable. So our learning consultants are going to get in touch with you, understand your specific skilling needs, and customize the training agenda for a duration of 2 hours delivery as per your specific requirements. So it can be with respect within the context of your project, within the context of the specific technologies you're planning to adopt or deploy. It can be anything related to Microsoft that you want to get your team skilled on. So it's a great option for you to kind of get the feel of the training, what to expect from an actual full-fledged delivery. So this is the right option for you. And the cherry on the top is your training is going to be delivered by one of the top rated Microsoft certified trainers. So you have the assurance that your skilling is being taken care of by a subject matter expert, and our learning consultants are going to provide you end-to-end support on developing a highly optimized and targeted Microsoft skilling plan based on your specific needs. Moving on, we have the Netcom Plus Learner subscription. It is an amazing option that is quite popular, especially with organizations, with the SMB sector, particularly where they have a standard size team and they want to ensure that all their team members have year-long access to skilling. Because you can't really predict what is the next course or topic you'd need to get your team upskilled on maybe 6 months down the line, right? It might be a difficult task to project that. Netcom Plus Learner subscription kind of brings value by making sure you are covered, right? For an entire calendar year, you can park your training funds. So the platinum subscription, which is the highly recommended one, $2,999 flat pricing if you have less than 10 learners, and if you have more than 10 learners, the price even comes down further, around 2,499. And with this subscription, you get access to 400 plus e-learning modules. But the best part is it also includes 100 plus virtual instructor-led courses across top vendors like Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, and more. for an entire duration of 12 months. So Netcom Plus Platinum actually covers most of the Microsoft authorized training portfolio. So you can continue to reap the benefits for an entire 12 months period just for a highly economic price of 2,999, which essentially is equivalent to the cost of one standard 3 or 4 day delivery. Next up, we have the Learning Passport. So as we emphasize that a Netcom Plus subscription is a great option if you have a limited size team, maybe up to 20 or 30 learners. But if you are a big organization, if you have multi-shore presence, if you have multiple divisions and your training requirements are more complex and diverse, Learning Passport is the right tool for you because it allows you to have that flexibility to have a common fund pool for your training funds. And then you can continue to utilize those funds across the entire Netcom learning training portfolio. So we are talking about 4,000 plus official courses across multiple vendors, Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, all the big brands. And this is valid for 12 months. And not only that, when you park your training budget with the Learning Passport, it allows you to experience additional increase in your training fund value. So based on the package that you opt for, you can experience up to 100% increase in your training fund value. So you put some money there, and Netcom Learning also invests a proportional amount in that common fund that you can continue to utilize across your organization, across 12 months, across all the portfolio that we have. Another major difference between Learning Passport and the Netcom Plus is that Netcom Plus is tied to a unique individual learner. You don't have the flexibility to train 2 or 3 learners using a single subscription, but that is addressed with the Learning Passport. So it allows you that flexibility. Your funds can be utilized based on whatever requirement you have. Now let's quickly take a look at what are the recommended courses that we have for you today. On over here, you can see the entire learning path mapped by fundamentals as well as role-based. Over here, all the items are hyperlinked over here. So all you need to do to explore more about a particular course item listed here is just click on that and you would be redirected to the official documentation that we have. And on the side, you can see that all our trainings come with some exclusive perks and benefits. That includes for the courses that have a lab associated with it, you get around 180-day access to those virtual lab environments. And for the classes, you get a 90-day access to the class recordings. But it doesn't stop there. We also give you opportunities of free class repeats, which allows you to retake a class multiple times till you really are confident that you have developed the skills. So you can pay once and you can continue to repeat that class multiple times as per your requirement. So that's a great perk to have. And of course, all our trainings are covered by 24/7 priority support. So we make sure that you don't have any roadblocks or challenges when it comes to your training journey. Lastly, you'd find a couple of other resources mapped here. We have an upcoming masterclass and a blog. So we highly also recommend you to explore those. And with that, we come to the end. Thank you for joining us today, and do follow us on all our social handles that are listed here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for guiding us through that information, Sagnik. Now we are going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session. If you haven't yet, it's not too late to pop your questions into the question panel.
The first question I'm seeing is, what are the steps or techniques of migrating data from CRM 2013 to Dynamics 365?
Well, there's a couple of different ways of doing it. Depending upon how you've done your upgrade from CRM to Dynamics, you could just extract the data or pull the data exactly over as part of your deployment. The other methodology is to use data packages through LCS or through Excel. So there's a number of different ways of being able. Excel is probably the most common way that people will pull the data out and populate it into the new system.
Okay, and then what are the major roles of data analyst in migrating data from a legacy system to a new system?
Mostly from the analysis point of view of knowing what the data is and knowing what the new formats need to be. So when you're migrating data from one system to another, you may have to transform it uh, from one platform structure to another platform structure. And so the analyst is there. The analyst's job is there to primarily look at that data, understand what the changes are, and then do the transformations of the data as you're migrating it.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Our next question for partners, can't we get demo environment for customer demo, internal timing, or internal training without expiry?
No. So partners, certain levels of partners can get systems, but you have to pay for the subscription. It's not free. And as far as a customer is concerned, if a customer wants to implement a system, they have to buy a minimum number of licenses for a minimum number of time. Usually it's about 6 months to be able to do a demo environment. But they do expire. They're not, so like as an example, at the company I work for, we are a partner. We have an MPN account, a Microsoft partner account, but we pay for all of the systems the same as if we were an irregular end using customer. So nothing is free, or it doesn't expire if you pay for it. So
Thank you.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave the session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us out by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. Thanks to everyone for joining us today. If you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to us at webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.